I am overdue to make new ephemera packs to sell in the booth. What they are is they look something like this. I also do mystery packs that are in manila envelopes. And what I've done obsessively, of course, and piled into these boxes are trimmed pieces from vintage magazines, old vintage children's books, a lot of things that I found in thrift stores or got at estate sales. It could be all sorts of things, from artwork to dogs to little illustrations. And I put them in these grab bags for people to use in junk journaling, decoupage, collage, scrapbooking, all that kind of stuff. And they're a really good seller in my booth. We just had a reset, and I realized that this had kind of gotten out of my control, because I have grab bag packs that are this size and grab bag packs that are this size for almost the same amount of money. And also I have a lot of these old cabinet cards that just really aren't selling. So I thought I would fold them in, brought them home to open them up, thought I would fold them in to the ephemera packs as a whole, not have them separate. I mean, why wouldn't you want him? He's pretty cute. Yeah, and I have this priced the same as this, which is crazy. So I don't know, but it got away from me, like I said. So I need to make a lot more of these. I also have postcard packs. They're probably going to stay. I just thought easier if I just grab everything and bring it home and then sort it all out, and I can take it back tomorrow morning before the store opens. Other things that tend to be in my ephemera packs are game cards, parts of games, especially playing cards or specific ones. This is for a game called Yoda. Not as in the Star Wars character, I don't think. So again, I have lots of boxes. Also lots of vintage photos. Pretty easy to find, and those tend to go in there too. The other main category, oh yes, and bingo cards. I need to sew more bingo cards. What I mean by sew more bingo cards is sew more vintage buttons onto bingo cards, which is very fun. And I saw this somewhere at some other antique thrift store, and I thought that was such a great idea. And I just happen to have, of course we do, tons of these vintage old bingo cards, 3 different styles. So I noticed that I think some of them have been selling, so I had to keep the green one. I just like these colors too much, so this is my sample one. The library had a sale last year, and there's a lot of antique pieces that I have in the ephemera packs. These are from Collier's Magazine or can't remember, other old magazines like that. So some of the things that are in the ephemera packs are more than 100 years old, and I especially love the old advertisements for Bromo Seltzer, Hires Root Beer, and also things like buggy whips and other outdated things. Or I didn't know there was a breakfast cocoa. I thought cocoa was for after being outside in the cold, but breakfast, I guess. Okay. Anyway, they're just, it's fascinating to me. I love looking through all this stuff. I love seeing the old advertisements. They're so neat. And just the way that the graphic design is done and the layout I find really interesting. I'm not going to show you everything, but this is the kind of thing that's in the ephemera packs. Oh, here's some old tennis photos. And I do, like, there's Babar. I do like old kids' books. Also old cooking books. Like, that does not look appetizing. Things like that. Anything that catches my eye and looks interesting. Sometimes it's old maps. Ooh. Sometimes in the Life magazines I had, sometimes this is probably for my doll or something like that. Sometimes I find the picture is more interesting than the text sometimes, and so I just cut out the picture. I don't trim, like I don't trim to the image, but I do do a general trim to an individual, picture. I figure that gets the collage scrapbook person most of the way there, and if they want to really trim it closer, they can do that. Okay, it gives you some idea of what's in my ephemera packs. One thing that I started to do when I did these ephemera packs in the beginning is to put a disclaimer on them, and it says, this pack may contain nude images or artwork containing challenging subject matter. And that was recommended by the owner, which I think is a good idea. Just that depends on the age of the person buying this, or if you're buying it for a young child and you don't want them to necessarily see nude images, although whatever, I just figured this would be straightforward. Well, the owner told me today that there's people that come back returning to specifically find my packs that have nude imagery in it. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to make packs that specifically have more nudity than I've had before from old, let's say, adult magazines. Nothing too racy, but definitely more nudity than in the artwork, which is kind of what I've been doing before then. Okay, so now it's just time to sit down and sort and get this done. Because I work on my table here, I don't have a whole lot of room. So when I'm making packs like this, I often weigh them and kind of go by weight. I tend to put my boxes out and then pick from like one from each box, because things tend to be as I trimmed them in here. But every pack is going to be totally different. This one has a fold-out postcard little box in there. Yeah, but I can only maybe do 5 or 6 of these at a time just because of the space I have. At this point, you might be thinking, wow, she's crazy to do this. And yeah, probably. But it's also, I love to make collages myself. And so I love the idea that I'm facilitating other people doing that. And also, all these old magazines that I got were basically falling apart. So it's like saving bits and pieces of them that can be reused. And I find that really, important, interesting. Like I said, I have a lot of photos also. So all of these make their way into the ephemera packs. You're probably thinking, how many of these Daiso boxes does she have? I don't know exactly. I think I have about 10 up there, and then there's more kind of hidden underneath fabric over there. And then there's also these larger boxes. So I have lots of postcards, and again, like Monopoly money and Monopoly game cards and Clue cards, all of the sort of games you can think of. And another bigger one down here, and then there's some over there too. So that's why I started making ephemera packs that are just packed. They're just big. I have more, and you can see the stack keeps going up. I have reached my capacity, and so I can't think about asking a lot of money for these. It's more like I need to move this out because there's going to be another sale at the library, and I'm going to be able to find this, and I find more of these goodies, and I still have magazines I haven't cut up yet. So I've been working away at making new ephemera packs, and I have 6 packs going, and they're almost ready. It's really hard to, well, not really hard, I should say I work really hard to make them as consistent as possible. And one of the things that I do is I do weigh them, because there's so much variation in what goes inside them, and the weighing isn't very accurate either, but it kind of helps. So like I said before, I had brought these back from the booth, so I weighed them to get an idea of what they are, and they're just under a pound. That's a lot of pieces of paper. And these are getting there, but they're not quite that yet. So I've hauled down even more of my boxes to get at some of the playing cards and other things like that. This is a game where I think you're supposed to match the people to the dogs or something. These are things that I've picked up at the thrift store, and I just think they're hilarious and fun. There's these fun Monty Python Holy Grail cards. These are hard to part with. Part of why it takes me so long to do this is that even though I try really hard to be quick at it and efficient or something, whatever that means, it's impossible, because with these, all I want to do is read the Monty Python cards, or I get all caught up with looking at the 100-year-old advertisements, and that's why this is a lot of fun, even though it's hard work and it takes a long time. What are these? Oh, Harry Potter cards, Marlboro playing cards, more Harry Potter cards. Maybe I'll put some Harry Potter cards in. Another reason I only do about 6 or 8 packs at a time is that they tend to be very similar. I choose similar things when I'm doing 6 at a time, but on a totally different day, I would choose different things. So I find there's more variety there. Oh, I've got tons more postcards for these. Oh, these are fun. These are all swimming pool and camping. I could throw these in there. I think that's a keeper. That one's pretty good too. The cashmeres. Oh. Oh, and look at her with her Vespa. I don't know. See, this is why this takes so long. This takes forever. Ten postcards of Buckingham Palace. I think I could part with some of these. Oh, Wayne's World. Swing. Hurl. I don't know. Not this time. I have to finish up pretty soon because the cat's going to want to come in. And this is her room as well as my work room. Drew. That's Drew. I'll make a little room. That's good. I have a lot of these old Fünfmark. I have all these old Deutschmarks and things too, but again, it's really hard to part with these. Why do I even make these ephemera packs? No, I'll part with them eventually, but they're so worn and just beautifully printed. I can't get rid of those. That's why I put them on the end here so I can see them. other packs that I do, and I realized that I only had 4 of these left, is I make stamp packs. So these are almost all of these, I think, and they get their own box. These are all from my father-in-law's old stamp collection. And so what I do, most of them tends to be overseas stamps, which are pretty cool. A lot from Australia, very pretty ones of wildlife and stuff. And so these look like old USA ones that I've bundled up to keep. So I do stamp pack with 50 stamps in them, and I put them so that you can see on both sides. And again, these are really good sellers in the booth. Oh, I guess I have a lot that are already made, but so I need to sit and make a whole bunch more of these. Another thing that I saw somewhere, again, in another thrift or antique store, is someone had taken their bags and then folded an old atlas page or other, I'm trying to remember, just decorative paper, and I thought it made for just a really nice finished look to this. Nicer than just that. And so I've started doing that. It's more than possible that the people who are buying the stamps are collectors. I just always had thought, oh, that there are more people doing collaging. Here's my pieces I've cut out of an atlas that I use for the top. But it very well could be collectors and not just people using these in collages. So I know, because my husband's gone through, that there probably aren't any real ringers in here, like $300 stamps. But they're very pretty, they're very colorful, and they're very decorative. I'm back with a little add-on. I decided that it was time that I part with some of my wheels. So let me show you some of them. These are going to the booth this morning. Proportion scale. This is a Dungeons and Dragons. Another thing I worked on is I had fun smashing plates. These are all vintage china and pottery. Don't get angry, they were in bad shape. That's why I cut them up, smashed them up. I gotta tape that better. I thought I'd see how these go in the booth.